Of course, we're hearing our friend there, our intro person. Hey, everybody, this is Kenny and
Kenny Squared.
with Sports on the Positive Tip podcast. And I tell you, it is great. We can go to all places. So, Kenny, you are not in Cleveland right now, but where are you?
Beautiful Columbus, 2 hours south. So
2 hours south. Columbus is a big sports town, man.
yeah, they're all about them Buckeyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very interesting.
Yeah, both football and basketball, right? The Buckeyes basketball team. You know, the Columbus Blue Jackets had that tragedy happen to their goalie this past, probably, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? Just awful, awful news.
Yeah, 4th of July.
It happened on 4th of July. Wow, that was really, really sad. So prayers for their family and for that team, because I'm sure that they were shocked. So coming from Columbus, we've got a lot to get into tonight, but we both have our All-Star Game shirts. Thank you for sending me mine. That was awesome. Mine is the Rob, and now we know why he didn't pitch, because he's out now. He knew his body, so he was definitely holding on there. But I know it's almost a week that the All-Star Game was played, but what were some of your thoughts on the Midsummer Classic?
Well, first of all, I can say I can get behind them doing like just a full All-Star Game uniform.
Okay, All-Star Game last week. What were some of your thoughts?
So I think first of all, I can get behind the uniforms, like having like kind of the way the NBA does it. I still like each team having their own. I think that's what makes it so unique. I can get behind it. Like, I did buy the shirts and all, and I like that we're doing this way. It's still not my favorite because I don't think it nods really well to like Colorado. So, but also I understand that a lot of times those take like months to prepare, and they probably didn't have that. So whatever. But the game itself, I think there's a few things that kind of stick out to me. First of all, with Shohei Ohtani, who definitely took the front stage there, I think you could start to make a case for him as like the most popular baseball player right now.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
At least for this year. And this is probably something we could talk about later, but you can make a case that him versus Vladdy Jr., if Vladdy Jr. wins the Triple Crown, be a very interesting MVP conversation.
It really would. Yeah.
I think one of the things it shows is the nod to the international, because you have Ohtani, Japanese born. Vladdy Jr. winning the MVP was huge. So obviously he was the youngest guy. His dad had a very sentimental tweet when he found out he was in the All-Star game. I think it's really cool. I think it seems like also very, very quietly, the American League dominates this once again. It's 8 straight now, dating back to 2013. And I don't know, it's weird because like obviously they had that stretch from 97 until 2009 where they won every year except for the tie. But it looks like we're kind of back there, and I can't really explain why. The NL had plenty of opportunities. I don't know if it's just the AL kind of comes to this type of thing. It was great. It's always fun seeing like your guys in there, like especially DeGrom wasn't in the game, but seeing Taijuan Walker in, I was like, oh yeah, good for him. And then also him facing off against Jose Ramirez, who was the only Indian, I believe, on the team.
Right.
I think that was cool. Only one Yankee got in though, and that's Aaron Judge. And I mean, Cole wasn't going to pitch, and Chapman wasn't good enough to pitch at the time. So yeah. I don't blame that. But I don't know. It's always a fun event. I love seeing the American League dominance. I like seeing my guy do something good, scoring a run, getting a walk. So
it's still exciting. Yeah, it's still exciting, you know. Although I just can't figure out why the American League, it's been a generation now. haven't they won like something like 27 out of 30 or something like that? It's been
Yeah.
crazy. And I told you, as a kid through the 70s, it was the National League every year. It wasn't even like, and a lot of those games weren't all that good. They weren't that close. It was the National League would dominate. So I don't know what that's about. Why? Because the American League is not that much better. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't get it. Um, can I go back to the uniforms for a second? So I I guess they looked okay, right? And I love my shirt. I just I like too much because this is definitely just a money grab. Why else would they be doing this? And listen, we fell for it. We brought two, right? So,
Yeah.
and I don't think there's anything wrong with that because I think a lot of people like I've seen you brought the warm up jerseys, which I like. There's just something that you can't replace when you see your guy in your home team uniform. Like you said, Jose Ramirez, only Cleveland Indian. Little kids in Cleveland, they would have loved to have seen him. He came up, he pinched it. They would have loved to have seen him in his Cleveland Indians uniform. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah.
I hope they don't do it next year. Again, they honestly they didn't look that bad. I warmed up by the second or third inning. I was exchanging messages with Larry. I know he'll listen and we were both like, this is just a money grab. But I have to say, by the second, third, fourth inning, I was like, those don't look bad, but I just would rather them having their home uniforms on.
Yeah.
That's what made it unique.
And we didn't talk about this that much. The home run derby, all of the players wore their home jerseys with number 44 in honor of Hank Aaron. How cool would it have been if you saw that in the All-Star game instead?
I'm glad you brought that up for a couple of reasons. I thought that was cool, but I was like, why are they wearing their home jerseys in the home run derby? But Hank Aaron, it was a great tribute. And we talked about this a few months ago, the ship sale, but it's just a missed opportunity for them to have honored his wife in Atlanta and not in Colorado. I don't think they took that in consideration at all. I think it was a missed opportunity on the voting thing. They could have been good conversations had all the players been there. And so I don't know. It just would have been more special. It was special seeing, Aaron Judge and Freddie Freeman with Billy Aaron, with his wife, and she teared up. But it just seems so short, whereas that it would have probably been a much bigger celebration in Atlanta and where he, made history at. I don't know. So that's disappointing. But overall, the game, I mean, it's almost to a point where, it's almost anticlimactic in a way because it's a lot of buildup. And it wasn't a particularly good game, but it also wasn't a bad game either. There were a couple of moments like the play in left field when the National League had their chances. The play in left field when they had the bases loaded and the left fielder slid in and made a great catch. So there were a couple of moments that the game had. But my guy Taijuan Walker, he gives up a home run to Zunino. That had to be one of the lowest batting averages. Wasn't he batting like 198?
Yeah, that was crazy.
But he's great defensively, and he hits home runs. That's what he does. So
yeah,
it was just a weird batting average.
I have two more things.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, oh gosh, I kind of just lost them. How did you feel about the players being mic'd up?
I could do without it. I mean, the only good moment was when Fernando Tatis and Guerrero hit the home run and Tatis just jumped and he gasped. I thought that was a nice moment. But, Joe Buck, he kind of put Chris Bryant on. I didn't think the All-Star game was the time where you asked Chris Bryant, are your days numbered in Chicago now?
Yeah.
But then again, what do you ask? I mean, it's just an odd. I don't know. I could take that or leave it.
Well, I thought it was kind of like a cool way to kind of see what they were thinking.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think Joe Buck butchered it.
Yeah.
Because why are you asking Tatis while he's swinging? Oh, are you gonna swing at that? What do you think he's throwing? You're just distracting him. And there was one time where I forgot who it was. Maybe it was Bogarts or Devers. I think it was one of the Red Sox. And like whoever it was, they just ignored him because like it's fine if he's like on first base. Like Freddie Freeman, he was fun, and then also like he was weird with that too, where Aaron Judge is on first base. He's like, just let you know, they want me to tell you that we're Mike, so be careful.
And Aaron Judge
So
was
then
like,
Aaron
yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think doing it the right way could have been better. I think instead of like I think Joe Buck got in the way. Just let like kind of like we say, let the guys breathe. Just kind of mic up their chatter. Don't say anything. Don't add anything to it.
Yeah, yeah. I thought the exchange with the two managers was really good because you got a little bit of
Yeah.
an insight to the World Series, which they should do that. They should do the World Series rematch every year. But I thought that was pretty cool. And then Kevin Cash, how he said that he's watched Dave Roberts for a long time and that he learned a lot from him. I thought that was a good conversation. You know, but the managers are. See, when they speak to the managers during the regular season, they get nothing because the manager's so focused on the game. When you speak to the managers there, they're just having fun and they're not worried about the lineup. The bench coaches is doing all that, you know, so they're just sitting out there just enjoying the game, you know. So
Yeah.
It was interesting. A couple of years ago, Francisco Lindor was mic'd up and it was kind of fun because he was making fun of the players and stuff like that. I think you have to get the right person. That Bogarts moment, Bogarts gave you nothing. I mean, I don't know why he did it. If he, you know, if he didn't want to do it. And Chris Bryant, I had a lot more respect for. I always have respect for him. I think he's a great player. But the way he handled that, he just said, "Yeah, I'm just, you know, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just going out playing every day." And he was still smiling. Well, you know, he was like, "Did he just really ask me that in the All-Star game? Am I going to get traded?" You know? So,
Yeah.
But Joe Buck, I mean, he's a great announcer, but sometimes I'm not sure he knows what to say. You know, so
Yeah.
that's a tough
To me,
situation.
nothing would have been better, but
Sometimes, yeah, nothing exactly. As our friend Larry says, right? Let the game breathe. Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. All right, let's jump out of the All-Star game and let's give me a recap of this Yankees weekend, which actually turned out to be a lot better than it started.
Yeah. So like it seems like we've hit the 2019-2020 Yankees where everyone gets hurt. Except it's a mixture of people getting hurt and people getting COVID. Over the All-Star break, 6 guys tested positive.
Crazy. Yeah.
And once again, all but one of them, they're not saying exactly who the one is, but people say it's either Judge or Urshela, more than likely, are vaccinated. So once again, it's like, wait, hold on here. And they're all asymptomatic. So it's just a very bizarre thing again. Yankees are now down 3 bullpen guys. Loaizaga has been great. Wandy Peralta's been okay. And Nestor Cortez has kind of been like the guy emerging to kind of fill the gap when Kluber/Severino gets back. And right now, the Yankees are without all those guys. Judge is obviously their best player, and by far their best position player. Urshela, definitely their best defensive guy. And Kyle Higashioka caught every single one of Garrett Cole's starts up until Saturday. So the Yankees are losing a lot of key players. But it seems like this team, once again, has kind of turned things around maybe a little bit. Friday, they looked absolutely flat. By the way, Thursday's game, they were supposed to be the only game that night, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But obviously, the
it was
COVID
be on
thing,
national TV, right?
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Would have been a really cool, like, something that we talked about that baseball should do more of.
Yeah.
But anyway, Friday night, they looked absolutely flat. Jordan Montgomery, just as a side note, is one of those guys that, like, kind of like we've talked about with DeGrom before. So in each of his last 6 starts, he's gone at least 5 innings, giving up 3 or fewer runs. He's 0-4 in those starts.
Wow.
And in each of his last 5, the Yankees have scored 0 runs while he's in the game, setting a franchise record in the process. So Jordan Montgomery's like that guy getting the short end of the stick. You look at his win-loss record, it looks bad, but I mean, give up 1 run and they can't like score anything for you. What can you do? But yeah. I would say once again, Garrett Cole is showing like he's kind of pulling the inner CC Sabathia inside of him. kind of taking the ball and just going with it. He went in the shortened game, 6 innings. He went the full 6. He actually, before they called the game, he was ready to go out in the 7th after throwing, I believe, 93, 95 pitches. So he was ready to go after.
Stretched himself out now.
Yeah, and I think what's also cool is apparently, I probably shouldn't say cool, but at the All-Star game, they said that a couple of the Red Sox players like approached him kind of in a friendly way. He completely spurned them, which I kind of like. Like, it's kind of like, I feel like it's kind of like that Kobe mentality or Russell Westbrook.
All-Star game, you gotta be friendly with everybody. I mean, come on, he's like blowing off the red. Get away from me, you guys are the rivals. Wow. No, you can't do that. But I know what you're saying, though. You know, you're getting, they say that some of the National League players, like the Reds back in the 70s, Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Joe Morgan, wanted nothing to do with the other players, especially players like from the Dodgers or the Giants, the teams that they had to beat, So
yeah,
I guess there's something to that. But I'm just saying, you can't for like one day, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he's also worried that they're going to try to get like a scouting report on him or something. I don't know. Because I believe he's playing them again next week. So I don't know.
Okay.
Obviously yesterday was a huge win. And also like the big part of yesterday is it was a lot of the 7, 8, and 9 guys. And also guys that usually would be 7, 8, and 9. Guys like Rougned Odor, Ryan Lamar. Yankees are kind of looking like that next man up guy. A guy I would keep my eye on is Greg Allen, who spent some time with the Indians. He has some big league experience, but it's crazy because not only did the Yankees lose those 6 guys to COVID, Luke Voit is now on the injured list for a 3rd time.
What?
With a bone bruise.
I didn't know that. Wow.
They lost Tim LeCastro, who they just got from the Diamondbacks.
Right.
He tore his ACL, making a spectacular diving catch into the
That
wall.
one I knew.
Actually, he stayed in the game too, which is impressive. Trey Ambergi, who is like one of the Yankees' top prospects, left the game with a hamstring cramp. There was somebody else too, but I can't remember who it is.
I didn't know most of those guys. I was turning back and forth on Saturday night, and it was pouring rain. It wasn't raining out here, but in the city it was pouring rain. I was like, how are they still playing? But a lot of these guys coming up, I was like, who's this? And they had so many players that they had to replace. It was just crazy. But for them to win 2 out of 3, I think that was huge.
Yeah, I don't think it's exaggerating to say that might have saved their season, at least for now.
Yeah.
Because if they go back to Boston and they get swept, I don't know, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
They have 2 against Philly, and then they head to Boston. So
yeah.
I don't know. I still think, looking just at how this team has played this weekend, I still think that they're still kind of flawed. I can't get out of my head the top 5 of the lineup, where you have, whenever everyone's healthy, you've got DJ LeMahieu, a right-handed bat with batting average type of ability. Right. Then you have Aaron Judge, a right-handed power hitter. Giancarlo Stanton, right-handed power hitter. Gary Sanchez, right-handed power hitter. Luke Voit. Like, all of these guys are essentially the same. And I think the Yankees need to make a move to get one of these guys gone and replace them with somebody else. I don't know if they're going to do that. I know he's not probably on their radar that much, but a guy like Chris Bryant would actually probably fit in, especially since their left field situation is weird. But like,
isn't he just another right-handed power hitter, though?
I feel like he has a little bit more batting average.
He does.
He does. He has a little bit more contact, and he does have a little bit of speed, right?
He does. Yeah. And he
because that's the other thing.
And he plays third base, and he plays the outfield, which is kind of rare, right? You don't see too many players. J.D. Davis does the same, but Bryant, he was playing the outfield in the All-Star game.
Yeah, I would take him, but I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, Trevor Story is the guy that I would go all in to try to get if I'm the Yankees. I don't know of a big left-handed hitter. Kyle Schwarber, they're not going to get. He would be perfect for them. But you need a left-handed, power hitter. Another reason that they should have held on to Jay Bruce, who's I know past his prime, but he to me would have been the perfect kind of power hitter there. I don't think anybody picked him up, so I
No,
guess
he retired.
Oh, he retired. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess you'd have to really look at is there left-handed hitting outfielder DH type that has a bad contract that somebody could offload to the Yankees that still has a couple of good years left in them. I don't know. That kind of really narrows the scope, but I think that's exactly what the Yankees need. They need another left-handed bat, but I think they need to also that infield is jumbled a little bit. I think you have a couple of guys playing out of position, and I would definitely try to land a shortstop and get Torres to second base, and then put DJ at first base, maybe Voit DH. I don't know. You got kind of a backlog there. It's a weird team. It really is. But with all that said, there's enough talent there where they can definitely get back into this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. So do we want to talk about the Mets? I mean, it was just a crazy weekend. We had
it was weird.
The benches. That was close to being an all-out fight because there were some angry guys with Stroman, and then Stroman almost looked like that famous video you and I watched with the Giants and Cardinals, which is probably one of the worst brawls ever. And Vince Coleman is all doubled over, and they have to carry him out. That's what happened with Stroman. It was weird. He was like doubled over. He said afterwards someone stepped on his foot. He thought it was bleeding, and that's why he like doubled over and then ran to the dugout. But the Pirates, I don't know why they're so bad. They actually have some really good players. I mean, Adam Frazier, Brian Reynolds, and see, I hope they don't trade them. Like Adam Frazier would be ideal for the Yankees, but when you have a bad team like that, you got to start somewhere, right? You want to keep at least these two guys are cornerstones. They're legit stars, and just like they kept McCutchen all those years until they got good. I would like to see them hold on to him. Maybe a Gregory Polanco might be a good pickup for the Yankees. He's kind of left-handed bat. He hits with power, but hits with average too. He's a great fielder. I don't know. See him, they could probably give up and get some prospects, but I wouldn't trade those other two guys. I mean, they're just too good, But anyway, back to the Mets. Injuries, Lindor, just starting to go well, and he's probably going to be out for 2 months. We'll probably see him in the middle of September. DeGrom. I mean, he knew best by skipping, and sure enough, now he lands back on the DL. He didn't seem right the last couple of starts, either, so I wasn't overly shocked. But the Mets made a lot of bad mistakes. I mean, that was the worst. That little dribbler. They wound up winning the game, but 3 runs coming in, on that, and then the other, the Friday night game, giving up the grand slam. Edwin Diaz hits another. Wow, Saturday night. You just go walk off grand slam. I'm like, okay, come on. Yeah, and they were playing all of a sudden these long plodding games, and it's happening again tonight because they're only in the 4th inning tonight, and it's almost 9:00.
Wow.
So it's happening again tonight. I don't know why that is. They're playing these long games again, and I don't know. Anyway, I think the Mets will be okay. Carrasco is making his last start, so we'll probably see him sooner rather than later. JD is back, so Lindor going down, that hurts, but you do have VR, Guillaume, and you have JD is back. So I'm not too worried about his injury. I'm more worried about DeGrom. But I liked what Lindor was doing. It's going to be a total lost season for him, though. Comes back in the middle of September. He's still going to wind up hitting like 235 with maybe 12 homers and maybe 40, 45, 50 RBIs. But
especially with an oblique. That's going to be
Hopefully next year he'll come out of the gates fast. But the Mets can get in the playoffs and he can get hot. And, everybody will forget about the regular season.
Yeah.
All right. Let's shift gears, man. Talk to me about the NBA Finals, where I never say I told you so, but I did say the Bucks were going to get back in this. I just didn't think this was going to be a sweep or a short series, and they proved me right. Pivotal Game 6 tonight. So who do you like?
Well, I don't know. First of all, I feel like this is one of those series where we deserve a 7th game. I don't know. Like, this has been probably one of the more entertaining NBA finals in the last few years. I would venture to maybe say since 2016. Um, although 2017 and a little bit 18, there was a lot of buzz in Cleveland. I feel like also by that time, people were like, come on, let's see somebody different. First of all, I think that Giannis has played tremendously. I think he's shown that he can really lead his team. I think the proverbial playoff monkey is off of his back, regardless of what happens. And I think also this Bucks team hasn't built this lead as much on their offense. Although Game 5, I believe I read it was only the 6th time in the last 50 years that they had 3 guys in the same team score 25 or more points. So obviously, like, everyone's kind of getting their piece, but I think it's their defense. You look at a lot of the key plays, whether that's the chase down in Game 3, where Giannis had his now iconic block.
Yeah. Like
Drew
LeBron,
Holiday pulling off a key steal.
Yeah.
Like, their defense has really like shut down the Suns. Even like Game 5, like they were down huge after the first quarter, and they were like, you know, we don't care, we're coming back. And defense put down the clamps, and they were able to do it. But I do want to focus on a few things with the Suns. First of all, I think it's kind of the biblical idea that pride comes before the fall. I feel like they've kind of gotten a little bit too comfortable. And I'm not saying that they've been really prideful, but you can tell that like they've kind of thought they were going to win before they actually won. And you look at a lot of the ways they've played down the stretch, whether it was those 2 awful turnovers by Chris Paul, Devin Booker, who had a great game, but then has an awful turnover. And to me, the most egregious was in Game 5 when the alley-oop and the foul on Giannis. Like, at that point, if he's going up for the alley-oop, you're down by 3, leave him alone.
Yeah.
Obviously, he still missed the shot, but I think it's still, you got to just, you let him take his thing, and then you can regroup and go from there. But I do want to point out through all of this, Giannis went 0 for 3 from the free throw line in a very key situation. Like in the last 2 minutes, did not do well. So that's something to kind of keep an eye out for, especially tonight. I have a feeling that the Suns are going to come out. They're going to come out strong and win. I don't know if they'll win the series though.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, it's a coin flip. And last thing I'll say on this, I was watching an interview. They were asking Giannis after the game if he's watched his the dunk, and he was like, "No, I don't really like to do that because if I'm looking too much at the past, it's all my ego. But if I'm looking too much in the future of what I'm gonna do, that's my pride talking. I like to stay in the moment because that's where I can stay the most humble." I thought that was really mature, especially for a guy that young.
Yeah, you sent me that. That it wasn't a full article, but I thought that was really, really cool. So I thought that 2 quick things for me. I agree with everything you said. To me, that Game 4 turnaround was the key because Phoenix came out. They were up by like 17 midway through second quarter. You gotta close it out. All of a sudden, they just couldn't hit a basket. Or Milwaukee's defense, as you said, really clamped down, and Milwaukee winds up winning that game by 20. It was an amazing turnaround, and I think that got overlooked. That Phoenix had that type of lead, and then they would have went up 3-1. Still in the first half, that's still early, but they were more than midway through the second quarter before the Bucks got on a run there. And I thought, to me, that was the real turning point of the series. The other thing is that we've thought all along, because you and I have liked Drew Holiday for a long time for reasons that he just torched the Knicks a few times when he was with the 76ers. And I just, he's had those spurts in the playoffs where all 3 of them are playing well, Middleton, him, and Giannis. And these last couple of games, all 3 of them have just been in sync and on fire. And that's what I think has been the other big key. Because when he's on, he's a borderline great player. I mean, he could score. He's tenacious on defense. He's fearless when he drives. He's just always been just this excellent player, very underrated, I think. And I think he's been a big, big difference these last two games because all three of them have, have really been scoring well. And if I'm going to predict that the Bucks win this series now, they may win it tonight, but I don't think they'll lose a game seven, even though it'll be in Phoenix. So we'll see. I'm going to predict that they're going to take this series now. But you're right. It's been a weird series because they really, I think up until game five, they hadn't had any lead changes in the fourth quarter, which was kind of weird. Yet the games have been exciting. So it's been a little bit of an odd series, but I think these will be, if it goes 7 games, it'll be a classic. It'll be a classic.
Yeah.
All right, let's end with a positive note, with a positive tip, right? So we got an update this week on Drew Robinson. Why don't you fill everybody in on the deal with Drew Robinson and what we talked about him, probably about 2 months ago.
Yeah, so Drew Robinson, back in the early days of quarantine, had a very real suicide attempt. Just as a graphic warning, he shot himself in the eye. Ended up going to the hospital the next day, and like was basically close to death. Brought himself back. He was borderline major league player. Had a few moments up and down with both Texas and San Francisco, and so obviously he was in a really deep depressive state, and through like almost dying, he realized the value of life. And while God isn't mentioned in the story, we see that God's hand was in his life the whole time.
No question.
So now he is, this year he started in the minor leagues as the minor league started up again with the Giants, and made the decision to retire. And he's actually going to be a part of the San Francisco Giants front office, helping with mental health awareness, which I think is so crucial. Like we've talked about the last few weeks with Sha'Carri Richardson, Naomi Osaka, and others. The mental aspect of sports is so daunting and so draining, and there's not enough resources for them. So if the Giants can help one of their young players not become the next Tyler Skaggs, who was found dead in his hotel room on drugs, they can, I hope that really happens. I hope that they can help those that may not necessarily see the value of mental health, and through that could actually save their life, whether that's because they're addicted to drugs, whether that's they have suicidal thoughts, whether that's they do something like get behind the wheel drunk or something like that. So great story. I love the ending.
Yeah, I don't have much to add, Kenny. You summed it up great. I just wish that story got a little bit more attention. It caught our eye because we're looking for those positive, inspiring stories. But it really hasn't been, like, I haven't heard them talking about it on any of the national games. Because there's a God aspect to it that's not mentioned, that it's fine for us to mention, because there's no way that he should be alive, with a gunshot wound at 8:00, the night before, and he doesn't go to a hospital till 4:00 the next afternoon. And there's just no way this young man should be alive. So God has him here for purpose, and maybe he's starting to see that, as now going into position. It would have been just incredible had he made the major leagues again. Wasn't God's plan, right? But God's plan was for him now to get in a position where he can help other people. So hopefully his story becomes a little bit more prominent. I'd love to see that, more prominent, and maybe if one person hears it and it stops them from making that terrible decision to possibly take their own life, it'll definitely be worth it. I think it's just an unbelievable story. So look it up, folks. Drew Robinson. Just Google him. His story is just absolutely amazing, with an unbelievable ending, which really, it's not the ending. It's kind of a beginning, now for him. But last thing I wanted to see was that he got cut, and that was it, right? That the Giants cut him. But the Giants were so moved by the person that he was, particularly Gabe Kapler, the manager, got really close to him, that I kind of knew the Giants would figure something out, and they did. So kudos to them. Giants have the best record in the National League. I think, is it in baseball? I know they have the best record in the National League, which is Amazing, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's still in baseball.
It's in baseball. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a great way to end, man. Go ahead and take us home. Let's get the music going and go ahead and take us home.
Well, this is Kenny Squared End
Kenny?
with Sports on the Positive Tip. Enjoy game 6 tonight, hopefully a game 7. And yeah, if you don't watch Drew Robinson's story, look up what we talked about on our podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a good night.
Absolutely. Yep. Enjoy the basketball. Enjoy the baseball. Game 7 would be when? Thursday night?
I believe so. Thursday or Friday.
Thursday or Friday. Okay. All right. I think it's going to be a game 7, but I think the Bucks are going to win. Bucks are going to be the next champions. First time in 50 years. All right. Talk to everybody later.